Afternoon, it is a lovely day on Merseyside. The sun has peeked out once or twice and the skipper is back. Virgil van Dijk will lead Liverpool this afternoon as the home fans get their first look at the side under new management. Andoni Iraola's overseen 3 games on tour. Today he gets the chance to feel what this team means to this Anfield crowd. Monaco will provide decent opposition. They are a little further on in their preparations and there are some familiar faces on show. Eric Dyer and Paul Pogba among them. It is the first Anfield pre-season game. You're in the right place. Liverpool against AS Monaco live right here. We kick off today at 2:30 p.m. Now the full match is live with us on LFC TV and All Red Video. That is online via the app or on connected TV. And if you sign up for All Red today, there's a 2-week free trial which would get you today's game and both matches against Como next weekend. Head to video.liverpoolfc.com to sign up. Got that? Good. Jay and Jay are alongside me. Messrs Spearing and Matchday along for the ride. How's it good to be back?
Very good to be back. It's been a long time since I've been here, stood in this position, so thoroughly enjoyable to be back and can't wait for the new season.
Mr Matchday, how are you?
Tired.
Right.
Going into a new season.
Yeah, so that's not very good.
Yeah, a bit busy summer, World Cup, which was great.
Yeah.
Long, new format, loads more games. But I was just sitting here as you opened the show up, and if you'd have said to me this time last year, I'd be standing here saying Liverpool would have a new manager, we'd have a team without Salah, Robertson, and Paul Pogba would be doing laps behind me. I wouldn't have believed you.
No.
But here we are.
Here we are. In fact, let's not overlook that. This is a momentous day for Andoni Iraola, isn't it? Yes, he's been to the United States. He's now part of Liverpool, but first game at Anfield as the home manager, that's big.
Yeah, it's always going to be a special moment for him, you know, coming here and you've seen the signing pictures. He was here on his own, stood around and see what the size of the stadium was, but to come as the manager of Liverpool Football Club in front of obviously a full sellout, your first friendly, you want to kick on start, you want to start well, you want it to be a good game, a good atmosphere. You want to see your identity that you tried to put into the players over pre-season start to show. You can see with the selection of the team today, he's come ready to rock and roll with that. Yeah. You know, all the big names are back. Virgil straight into his starting lineup, and you know he wants to try and get their message straight off and start in a good way.
Yes, Van Dijk, Isak, Wirtz, Gakpo, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, they all start.
Yeah, it's a big lineup. Only 2 friendlies left before we kick off the Premier League season. I always feel it's difficult, certainly for a new manager after we've had a World Cup, because personnel, you know, he wants to come in, he wants to meet everyone, he wants to know what he's got, he wants to talk to everyone, and sometimes that doesn't happen because of a World Cup. You have to wait, you have to give him extra time off. And when you play at a club like Liverpool, usually you're playing for the top countries, which means you go deep into the competition, which then means you don't get them back until around, 4 or 5 days ago.
Yeah.
So it's been very difficult for Iraola starting off his tenure here at Liverpool manager, but he'll be excited. The crowd, there's renewed optimism, there always is at this football club going into a new season, and today we get to see the big names. Pre-season was great, It served a purpose. We know what pre-season does now when you go into America, into Asia, but now he gets them at Anfield and he gets to play them.
Well, this is it, Jay. It feels like there's ages and then suddenly there isn't much time when you're in the swing of it.
Once you come back on that first day, literally the time flies. You know, we've probably been in a week before the first team. The manager was around it for that first week, watching a few of the players, watching a few of the young boys as well. So for our young boys, just like Jason said there, with the big guns being away in the World Cup, it's been a huge chance and a huge opportunity for our young lads to try and show this manager, a new manager, what they're about, and can they try and, like, you know, state a claim to be involved in his numbers going forward. A lot have done that. We can see they've still got a few of them around in the fixture today, and a lot of obviously shown them bits that he's ready for throughout the season. So the time flies, and even like we went away ourselves to Slovenia, we had an unbelievable week there with the 21s and 18s. But speaking to the lads that went on tour, they said that 2 weeks absolutely flew by, you know, every single day training, game after game after game. So yeah, to come round and be here so quickly after coming back, it goes quicker, and before we know it, we'll be going to Newcastle away.
For those that don't know, by the way, Jay is still player coach here, so did he have a little word? Do you think give yourself, you know, a little, don't worry lad, there's a space for you here.
Yeah, there's a space knocking around somewhere, you know, I'll always find a way to make me work in. But no, listen, he's been incredible. The manager's been, he's come in and he's you know, he set his stall out straight from the off. You know, there's been a couple of sessions where number-wise I've had to join in, no problem at all, you know, with Cody and Virgil coming back later than the rest of the group. So, you know, we've had opportunities to do that, and that's what my role is. My role is to, you know, help and guide our young players to be ready to go and play and train with the likes of Virgil van Dijk and Cody Gakpo.
Yeah, it's an interesting and slightly frantic period. It must be, because you've got players arriving, maybe one or two will leave, new coaching staff as well as manager. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts in pre-season now. I mean, in our day, it was slightly different. Although it felt mad, it probably was more controlled.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot more goes into it, like Jay said, right through the academy, you know, moving players up, moving players out, getting players in, and then you move into the first team realms. The manager will take younger players, especially with the World Cup period having been taken, so it's all disrupted for these guys. He doesn't really know what he's got, and then he wants to have a look at his squad, have a look at his first 11, what he's in his mind, he's planning for Newcastle, areas he wants to strengthen, you know, that's there, the right side needs strength, we know that, players need to come and go, there'll be players with 1 year on the contract, that needs to be, so there's a lot of moving parts at this time of the year, so it can be very difficult, but it's exciting.
Yeah, as you may well be aware, Andoni Iraola, the Barcelona club captain, as was, is on his way here to make a loan move to Liverpool. Let's have a look then at the full starting lineup against Monaco. Remember, it's 2:30 that they kick off here at Anfield. It is Alisson in goal again, a returner from the World Cup, so he didn't form part of that US tour, but has been in training at the AXA and starts today. Captain Virgil van Dijk does start today with, interestingly, Ife Ndukwe, who will have to go out on loan. As you're aware, I'm sure his work permit issues mean that he will need a loan move for the season, the youngster who did so well in America. In midfield, I would assume, Gravenberch. Let me have a look. Soboslai and Florian Wirtz in that midfield area. Fullbacks, as you can see, Jeremy Frimpong and Kostas Tsimikas. And then Gakpo, Isak and Lewis Koumas. Presumably, Jay, you would know better than I would, potentially Lewis Koumas, who can play in a few positions, maybe start on the right, given who else is on that pitch?
Yeah, looking at it, probably would be more so on the right, with obviously Gakpo being on the left and Wirtz starting the last pre-season friendly against Leeds as a number 10. Koumas has been down that right-hand side plenty of times before. He can play anywhere across the front three. The manager looks at Louis Koumas, and you can see with his pressing ability, he'll work his socks off for you. He's now had 2 years on loan in the Championship. You can see his game's matured, it's valued. He understands what he needs to do to find a manager's trust, which is a massive one for our young players. You have to gain the trust of a manager as quick as possible. He understands that now, and he's relishing in the way that the manager wants to play in his new philosophy as well. So Louis got another opportunity today to go and showcase what he can do after 2 successful loans at Hull.
And Stoke,
And Stoke as well, but yeah, Louis now has kind of got to cement himself and trying to find out where he wants to be and what position he wants to be, but also trying to make the manager trust in what he wants him to do.
Yeah, and he is a good advert for the value of a loan move, isn't he? Because he has got a bit bigger, a bit wiser, a bit, dare I say, kind of more used to front-on violent football.
Yeah, pathways have changed, Matt, you know, and I go back to when we were playing, you know, if we were put out on loan, it was kind of look a bit, oh, well, should I be going on loan? Should I stay and fight? We had reserve team football, so you felt you were closer to the first team. You were training with first team players, so you felt it might be detrimental to go out on loan. But inevitably, the younger lads would go out on loan. They'd learn the trade in the Championship, League One. They'd come back a bit tougher, grow up a little bit, taste first team football, different environment, playing in front of crowds, come back and then fight for the position. We were talking about it off air as well. It's very difficult for the academy players now. They get up to that 21 age and they're ready to go, and then you're looking at a first team which is littered with world superstars, best players in different positions, and you're trying to break in. It can be very difficult. Sometimes it's timing. Sometimes you look at the Trent scenario, it's just about timing. Trent got in, stayed there, become the best right back in the world. That doesn't necessarily mean it happens for everybody. Different pathways, different scenarios always tend to happen, but it can be difficult going out on loan. But I would, for me, I think it's a really good move. Some players think it's a bit detrimental to their career. They should be pushing for the first team, but sometimes you've got to go out and taste it.
Yeah, and that's part of your job, isn't it? Is looking after those young players for the now in at 18s and 21s, but also creating that sense of a possibility of a pathway.
Yeah, you have to. We have to be real with them. We have to be honest with them and show that Liverpool, this is Liverpool Football Club. The club can, at any given moment in the transfer window, go and buy, who they'd like to go and get. But what we've got to try and make them realise is that, you want to play for Liverpool, there has to be, and I talk about it again, the trust of a manager.
Yeah.
You have to understand exactly what he wants from you in that job. You can't be, You know, Louis, if he wanted to be, he could be like, you know what, I'll try and be a dribbler, but that's not your game. Your game is what the manager wants, is go and press, work hard, play forward, run forward, and make the back line threatening in behind. So Louis gone and learned that trade and probably made mistakes on loan. And that's another way of like, can we guide them to go and get first team football, to get numbers behind their name? The hard way to describe to a young lad is that like managers trust numbers. Yeah. Managers want numbers of appearances, they want numbers on against stats, and that's what our young lads need to go and get as soon as possible. And that's what we're trying to guide and help do, to allow them to know that, listen, a loan doesn't mean that you're going to leave. Yeah. A loan is to give you experience to then come back and fight better, being more mature, understand the game a lot more, and understand what the values are and what you need to do at this club.
We will hear from the manager in a moment. Just time to tell you before kick-off, there will be a minute's applause for the one and only. Sadly now lost to us, Kevin Keegan, of course, played with such great distinction here and elsewhere. He is on the front page of today's match programme, and Kevin will get, quite rightly, the love of the Anfield crowd before kick-off. High time then, we heard from the new manager. Here is Andoni Iraola with Neil Mellor.
Thanks very much, Matt. I'm delighted to say I'm joined by the Liverpool boss, Andoni Iraola, in the tunnel ahead of the game. Boss, thanks very much for joining us ahead of the game today. It's your first experience as a Liverpool manager here at Anfield. How excited are you today, but also the importance about Anfield and the crowd this season?
For me, it's a special game. For most of the players, the people will be Preseason friendly, but for me, it's a lot more than this. No, it's the first time I will have the chance to go out to feel this stadium. And I hope we can also perform well. I think it's a good game for us because it's going to be demanding. It's a team that know well the coach, and they want to dominate. They also press high, so I think it's going to be demanding. So we will see how we are.
A number of senior players are involved for the very first time this pre-season. How will you manage that game time today for them?
Yes, I think in the cases of Ali, of Cody, of Virgil, I think it's their first game. They shouldn't go longer than 45, maybe a little bit more if they feel comfortable. Also, for some of the others, Ryan, Flo, Alex, is the second game. So we have to be aware of those things. But the league starts in 2 weeks, so we cannot wait also too much, and we have to give them, I hope, quality minutes.
The fans are really excited to see what style of play we'll see from Liverpool this season. They'll see it today. We've seen glimpses already in pre-season. What do you want to see from the team today?
I think today is going to be a good reference, both games, Monaco and Como. I think two teams that try to dominate the game. They are very good in possession, so they will demand us the best without the ball if we want to control the game, and also physical teams, probably a very good test, and I hope we are at the level and we can do very good games.
All the very best. Thank you very much.
Very interesting to get the manager's thoughts, and it sounds like the same plan as was used for Isak and Wirtz on tour will be for Van Dijk, Alisson and Gakpo today, 45 minutes max. That'll be sports science related. Yeah,
listen, I think that's probably your ordinary now. I think your first minutes you try and get to 45. Like you said, if Cody or Virgil feel as if they can maybe do a little bit more, it'll be probably precaution, but you'd probably expect 45. The rest of them, the flows, the Isaks, like you just said, Ryan, I'd probably expect to see them going to 60s. And like you said, we've got 2 weeks before Newcastle. They've got an opportunity next weekend with Como to really get to 90. So you want to try and push them a little bit more maybe. And then obviously the rest of the subs will get what they can to finish the rest of the game.
And I guess as they come out to take the applause of the crowd, Alisson and the goalkeeping coaches, you want to impress, don't you, as a player? Whether you're old, mature, international, 18, you want to impress.
Listen, the one thing you can't do as a footballer is take anything for granted, no matter where you are in your career, and especially when a new manager comes in with different ideas, different philosophies, maybe a few different tactics and stuff. So of course you want to impress. And I think personal pride for the Liverpool players who've been on this unbelievable roller coaster over the last 8 seasons. They know last season wasn't great. They know they limped over the line. They just sneaked into that Champions League position. They took a lot of criticism and lots of things have changed. So they want to put that right as well. You know, this is a demanding football club with high expectations. The senior players know that. And you're right, you know, they'll want to impress. It's a fresh start, it's renewed optimism, and we go in with a clean slate. But they'll want to do their best. Of course they will, but they'll want to impress the new manager.
Yeah, and the ones that were in the States with Iraola now will know a bit more about how he works, what his staff want, the kind of patterns and intensity that he demands.
Yeah, they've had probably 2 weeks, if not just before, 2 weeks before they went, of working on his philosophy, his ideas, how he wants to be in possession, out of possession, offensive transition, defensive transition. They all know the inside out exactly what this manager wants. And listen, these are well hard. It's now bedding into these players, giving the ideas, the way of playing, and I'm sure we'll see it straight off from the off today.
Yeah, I thought Taki Minamino, who's now a Monaco player, I thought he got a great reception until Alisson just came out. That was...
Yeah, well, when he turned up, we won the league, didn't we, at the end of that season?
Yeah.
So everyone feels he was a part of that, maybe a lucky omen, maybe he was the start of it all. But yeah, he played his part at the football club, yeah.
He did, and we'll hear from him a little bit later before kick-off, Taki, so it's nice to see him back. Sadly, he's on the way back from a torn cruciate, so can't feature today. Let's have a little look then in detail at how things developed, what they learned, what went right, what went wrong out in the States.
Well, good evening to you from Nashville, Music City in the United States, and quite fitting that Liverpool should play their first pre-season friendly right here. Here's Elliott. Morrison takes over. Morrison's effort! Wonderful take and finish. The effort, oh, it's a fantastic strike. A little ball that slid through, and the finish is really good. The strike, oh, Dominic Szoboszlai's back. Ramsey high in support. Clever ball. Chiesa, Liverpool goal. Chiesa's touch. Szoboszlai, Kumas. It's another excellent Liverpool goal. Well, it doesn't come much more iconic than Yankee Stadium. It's the second game of Liverpool's pre-season. Already game. It's good layup for Szoboszlai. Now in Gamor. Deflection and in. They just backed off Rio Engamor and paid the ultimate price onto one of the most iconic sporting venues, Soldier Field, the home of the Chicago Bears. It's flicked at the near post, the chance comes in and Liverpool score. That's for Frimpong, and the man arriving, lovely goal. And then the ball is delivered hard and low into the back. So the dangerous ball that comes all the way through. Aronson again. It's a good pull back, Longstaff's there and scores. See, there's another flip, and it's another goal. It is a defeat for Liverpool for their final game in the United States. Not how they wanted, but hey, that's football, isn't it?
From Soldier Field in Chicago back to Anfield, that is the home dressing room. And just to remind you, if you're joining us, as I'm sure many of you are just now, it is a star-studded starting lineup for Liverpool today. The likes of Victor Munoz and others on the bench, but Isak, Van Dijk, Gakpo, Gravenberch, Alisson, Wirtz, they all start for Andoni Iraola in his first outing as a Liverpool manager here at Anfield against Monaco. We talked a little bit before we saw those highlights about what will have been picked up, what will have been worked on, learned from that tour. You were both midfielders in the middle of the park. What's the job of an Andoni Iraola midfielder? Ron.
Work hard, run, tackle. No, yeah, I can't deny it. The manager has a certain way of playing in his midfield. He wants his midfielders to be aggressive, run forward, run backwards defensively, be strong, win your duels. But then on the ball, he wants composure. He wants danger passes. Doesn't want safety passes. He wants passes forward. And this guy in the picture here, Dom, is that guy that nullifies it for me to a T. He can run, he can press, he's got unbelievable ability on the ball, he can play short, long. See him here in the highlights being able to run from pitch to pitch length. Obviously on that occasion, commentators curse losing it, of course. But
this one's a good run,
he's
isn't
an
it?
Unbelievable player for Liverpool, and he rightly deserved in my eyes to be able to wear the captain's armband but also get a new contract. And he is I think, Andoni's dream midfielder.
You would have thought so, Jason. I mean, you played in there as well. He does tick a lot of boxes for a coach that wants that.
Well, the criteria Jay's just spoke about, I don't think I'd be playing, to be honest. How many boxes do you have to tick there? The complete midfielder. No, he's right. And in today's game, you'd have to be like that. And, you know, he's come in from a Bournemouth team that was aggressive, but they were easy on the eye. They played some really nice football. I like the style. You look at it from a midfielder's point of view, and Jay's like box to box, you've got to have composure. They're all good concepts and good things to have, obviously, good attributes to have. But it does free up when you want to play as well. It gives you the license to go. You know, you don't feel like, oh, am I in the right position? bit like painting like of numbers, you know, like, am I in the right position? Should I be here? Should I be covering? Should I be? It's kind of like, when you get it, you go. When we press, we all press together, and there's a bit of freedom to that. And then behind it, you've got to make sure that you're covering them areas.
Yeah.
So we were talking about it off camera before, you know, your centre half will drop into a position when your centre midfielder moves up the pitch. But there's a freedom to it, and there's a nice fluidity about it, and I think it come across in pre-season at times. I think the only dodgy period we had was against Leeds.
Yeah.
A little 25-minute spell where we were 2-0 up half-time, we ended up getting done, didn't we, 4-2?
Yeah.
And that was it. But apart from that, it looked good, and it's not rocket science, is it?
No.
It's not rocket science. It's really clear, but there's a freedom to it. It's like there's no shackles on you. When you go, you go. You know, we've got to take a bit of caution behind, and we've got to watch what goes on. Defensively, you've got to watch what goes on. But when we go, we all go. And a little bit like Jurgen. It was a little bit like Jurgen played.
Yeah. That puts an emphasis on someone who has to think about the back door. And, you know, Andoni as well as anyone, he's learning all the time, I would imagine, about that.
Trey, listen, I'm probably the biggest singer for Andoni. Since the day he's came in, he plays well above his years, and even at this stage now in pre-season, for me, in my opinion only, obviously people might think wrong, but I thought he was Liverpool's best player in pre-season.
Wow.
I think he really showcased what he was about. We had without going too much, we had a real good chat at the end of last year, over the summer. It was a huge opportunity for him this window, this pre-season, with the players being on World Cup tour, to real knuckle down a position and show a manager without knowing before, obviously, the arm one. We knew he would come and show what he was all about, and for me, his best position as a 6, his passing range, his vision, his aggression, his pressing forward, what the manager wants. Now the 6 chasing you might have been able to fit in the 6 and be a bit of a Rolls Royce and play, because as a 6 for the manager, he wants it to be aggressive, get on the ball, play, but then obviously clean up and sweep behind and connect with the centre half. But for me, Andoni was Liverpool's best player in pre-season.
Showed a lot of maturity, didn't he?
He did, and that's the biggest thing for us. He backs himself incredibly well, and I love it. I love that he has the confidence. Trey really does believe in his ability. It's now getting him to really showcase it on a week-to-week basis, day-to-day basis, and the trust that he's gained from the manager from this window. Short passes, long passes, everything. He really showcased himself.
Yeah, and we talk about the numbers because of the differentiation between the roles that are required, but modern midfielders need to do more than one thing, don't they? They need to be quite interchangeable. It looks like he has got a skill set that's quite stretchy.
Yeah, of course, it's not a one-shoe-fits-all, is it? You have got to adapt, and you have got to show maturity when you're at a young age, because, I mean, we talked about it before with a new manager when he comes in. It's very difficult to trust the youngsters because you've got to make an impression as a manager. Here, you've got to win football matches. That's the be-all and end-all. We spoke, again, off camera, it's about, like, the manager's changed this, the manager's... It's only right if you win games. You know, if he doesn't win football matches, it's wrong. Yeah. So, you know, you're judged on your results. And it's very difficult sometimes to trust a Naomi who's going to come into the team at such a young, tender age. He's done himself no harm, but we have to realise it is pre-season. You know, I'd like to see him maybe thrust into an action like Jurgen done now and again with the younger players in a real big, tough game. You know, a real big fixture, high-profile fixture when you can get in there and do it. Sometimes you've got the luxury of doing it when you're winning games. When you don't, you're not going to throw him in. You're going to look for some more experience. Yeah.
The team are just behind us going through their warm-up. I imagine from a player's point of view as well, it's a bit like getting back on the bike, this, isn't it? I know some of them have been on tour, but there's a back at Anfield, crowds into it already, that kind of anticipation. It's in them as much as it's in us.
This is their bread and butter. This is where they want to be.
Yeah.
You know, you can do so much work on a training field that is incredibly enjoyable. You know, because you're with your mates, you're with the lads, you're learning new things, you're training every day. But this is where they want to be more than ever. They want to be in front of the fans at Anfield, on that perfect pitch, playing football and showcasing what they're all about. And that's what, you know, for someone like Louis Kumas, what a huge opportunity it is for him to showcase to these Liverpool fans what he's about again today.
Yeah. A reminder, you can watch all remaining pre-season games on LFC TV and, of course, all Red video. That is online, via the app, or connected TV. And if you sign up for All Red today, there is a 2-week free trial which will get you today's game and both matches against Como next weekend. Head to video.liverpoolfc.com to sign up. They look fit, Jason. I know, you know, appearances can be one thing. We'll see what they do when the whistle comes from the referee, but they look fit. Big team.
Listen, they don't treat the time off like we do.
No, no.
They never stop, these boys. They're always switched on. They're like racehorses, aren't they? That, you know, do you know what it is? The break they need. It's the mental side of things. It's the mental break from the game. You know, the demands that it brings. You know, it's very tough now. The amount of football that they play, thanks to FIFA and UEFA, it's phenomenal. The amount of games, competitions that they're to be involved in. You know, and just to touch on, someone mentioned it to me before about the manager. In his 3 years spell at Bournemouth, he played 55 less games than Liverpool had in that 3-year spell. 55 less games. That's something he's got to be able to deal with. But that's players as well. He's played 55 more games than what Bournemouth did over the last 3 seasons. You play a lot of football, so it's the mental burnout you need to facilitate.
Good point. Let's head up to our commentary duo for this afternoon's game and get a pre-match view from Charlie Adam, who's alongside John Bradley. All yours, fellas.
Yes, thanks, Matt. It's been a hot old summer on Merseyside, and things are heating up now as the new Premier League season gets ever closer. It's another warm day. I should expect pretty much we're getting every day at the moment. And Charlie Adams alongside me. There's something great about pre-season tours, getting away, the bonding and the togetherness of it, but there's something even better about getting back out at your own house, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's that feel-good factor. New players coming in the building, obviously some players coming back late from World Cups, and you know, but getting back into your home pitch and ready to start the season, new manager, a lot of different feeling around the club now in terms of what they're expecting and what this group of players. And now ultimately what we're saying is when you have the quality on show of Monaco coming here to test you, it gives you a good opportunity to see where you are, at what level you are ready for that Premiership season starting in a couple of weeks.
Yes, it's all new for Liverpool at the moment, of course, with Andoni Iraola coming in, but it's all changed as well at Monaco. Felipe Luis, who you'll remember from his time at Atletico and Chelsea, like that back, who's joined the club, having had a really successful stint with Flamengo in the Brazilian League, and there's been a few changes in terms of personnel for them this season. They've lost their main man in Angles Akliouche, who he's started for Paris Saint-Germain. It says he's top class, doesn't it? And they've got to try and find that level of replacement for him.
Yeah, and again, that's what Monaco have had to do. They have to find your gems, but ultimately they're competing against Paris, who, you know, have dominated French football for such a long time, world champions in terms of winning Champions League. So really important that, you know, when you lose such a quality player, can you have somebody that's possibly not at that level, but maybe you can come in and then look to grow and develop and hopefully can come and help the team. But when you lose a player of that quality, it is difficult to replace, and Liverpool have seen that so far. Obviously going off the back of last season, losing Salah and losing Robertson, you find it difficult to replace these players, but that's why you have recruitment and hoping that you pick the right ones.
Well, Felipe Luis is similar to Andoni Iraola, as we're saying. He's still trying to find his blend as he builds up towards the new season. There are some familiar faces in the Monaco lineup for this game in Anfield this afternoon. Lukas Kodetsky's played many times internationally. Eric Dyer, of course, who we saw in his days at Tottenham Hotspur as well. Matis Ablin is the big signing. He's the one who's coming for 25 million in the summer. And ahead of him, Alexei Golovin, who has been playing seemingly, it feels like, top level international football for about 15 years. Yet he's not even 30 yet.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is the quality. But we were talking about it's a big 25 million, big money for Monaco. That's a normal. The players from England are going from the Championship to the Premier League for 25 million. So that's the comparison in the two leagues and what we're up against. And that's what they're having to compete against your Paris Saint-Germains and that. But to be able to be in that Champions League and being able to talk to that, it's brilliant. And like you say, for Liverpool, this will be a tough game.
Yeah, they were disappointed to finish 7th in Ligue last season. The aim for them is to get back into the Champions League, and no better place for them to prepare than here against Liverpool, eh?
Thank you very much to John and, of course, to Charlie. On Monaco, they've played 5 warm-up games already. They play Coventry on Friday night after today, so they're a little bit further down the road. Does that make a difference, do you think?
Not really.
No.
It's maybe one game, isn't it? Maybe the travelling. You know, Liverpool might be a little bit more fatigued after all the travelling they're doing and getting it going again at Anfield. But listen, it's a good test for them. You know, they've got another new manager.
They have.
They've lacked consistency in that area, so they'll want to impress. Their season's on the brink, isn't it? So brought a few players in, few players have left. They've got some high-profile players. Not sure what their team is. We haven't had it yet, I don't think.
Yeah, it's just come up. So Eric Dyer will lead their team today. I don't know if you crossed swords with him in your playing days.
Only briefly once, but, you know, he's did a really good job for Spurs. It was maybe just time for him to move on. He's gone to Monaco. To be given the captain's armband shows where the club see him. But yeah, Liverpool, even if them being a further ahead than Liverpool maybe on matches, you can still see it being coming down to Liverpool, how they want to play and how we want to dictate the game. You know, the manager mentioned it before, they'll be physical, they'll be aggressive in the way that they press. Liverpool are going to have to adapt to that because I think in pre-season, the teams that we played, Wrexham, Sunderland and Leeds, didn't really see them as aggressive. So it'd be nice to see what Liverpool do with a team that come at them maybe, and how they play out from that. So yeah, that's a different way of doing it.
Just to touch on that as well, like Liverpool never really played friendlies here. Never really played them. Like I don't remember, maybe Inter Milan was one friendly I played in my whole time here
Not
in
a bad
Anfield.
one, is it?
We just didn't. No, it's not bad. Yeah. Well, we just didn't do it, did we? Did you play pre-season friendlies here?
No, we were always
No.
away.
I think it's
Always on the
really
road.
important
Always
that
on
they
the road,
play.
yeah.
I think a game like today, I think the manager will want Liverpool to dominate. Like we're at home, it's like we dominate at home. We set the stall out here. The mentality, the mindset is here. When you play away all the time, okay, it's about fitness. It's about, you know, you're trying to get your tactics across. You're in an alien environment. It might be, you know, you're in America, you're in a baseball stadium. It doesn't feel quite right. But this is like, for me, this is like business now. This is business.
Yeah.
We're 2 weeks out. This is home. This is where the fortress. This is Anfield. We don't get beat here. So there's emphasis on that. But also about being aggressive and dominate the possession. Listen, the opposition is decent, but we should beat them, especially with this team.
Yeah.
So we'll want to. There'll be expectations on the players today. There will be.
And that Monaco lineup, at least nominally, looks a bit like a 4-4-2. They're certainly playing two strikers. One of them's a new signing in Ablin, but that's kind of coming a little bit back into vogue.
Yes,
isn't
massively.
it?
Massively. 4-4-2, it's come round in a full circle.
Yeah.
Like, people kind of looked at 4-4-2 probably 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and just said, oh, I don't like that. That's a bit
Old school.
That's a bit old school, yeah, it's a bit dinosaur-y. But now, if anything, you probably see it more so. Again, going back to 21s, we played Huddersfield yesterday, they pressed us in a 4-4-2. And you think, wow, it's come back in one full circle, and you play against it so much more. And do you know what? It's actually more difficult than you think to trying to find the spaces. When a team come in a 4-4-2 block, you know, it's difficult to find space because they're quite structured. They close the gaps well. They let you go to the side, lock you to the side. So Liverpool are going to have to try and find them pockets in between the midfield line and defensive line for people like Wirtz, Louis Kumas coming off the side, Cody Gakpo coming off the side.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to have to try and punish them and hurt them.
Yeah, and we did. Go on.
I'm a fan of 4-4-2.
Are you?
Listen, I think when we think of 4-4-2, we think of obviously 4-4-2, but you think of like a right-sided right winger, a left-footed left-sider, a big man, a small man up top, and we go, oh, that's 4-4-2, but it's not. You can change a lot. You can drop your midfield. You can drop your centre forward into midfield, make it a 5. You could play a left-sider on the right, left-footed on the right. You could play. You know, you can change things about. You could go with a big man up top, a little man. You know, there's lots of variations. You could do. Your centre half can drop into midfield. You can go to a 3 if you need to. You know, you can mess around with a 4-4-2. I've always liked 4-4-2. It's just the stalwarts who go 4-4-2. It's like.
And by the way, when Jason thinks about 4-4-2, he thinks of 4-4-2.
I think I might pass it. How we playing?
Never change backers here. Never change. Right, unfortunately not able to play today, but he is here. Former Liverpool player Taki Minamino has spoken in the last few minutes to Neil Mellor.
Yeah, I'm delighted to say I'm joined pitchside by Takumi Minamino. Welcome back to Anfield. How does it feel to be back?
Oh, I'm very happy to be back here, and this place is for me is a very special place, and yeah, again I'm happy to be back here.
It's a very special place. You had some special memories in a Liverpool shirt. What were some of those best ones you had?
Well, yeah, I have a lot of a special memory, but for me one of the best memory is it was against Leicester City. The Leicester City, it was cup game, and we were losing 2-3, I think, and I scored the equalizer goal, the cross from the Milner, and I scored, and we won the penalty. And that game is for me is one of the best memory with the fans, and yeah, that game.
What was it like with Jurgen Klopp, with that group of players who won the league title in 2019-20? How good was that?
Yeah, it was also the amazing moment, and yeah, to win the title, especially Premier League, it was my dream when I was young, and yeah, that's still, I remember that moment, and it was a special moment for me.
Final question. You're wearing a Monaco shirt today. How are you feeling as an opposition player being here at Anfield today?
Well, unfortunately, I cannot play today because I've got injured. Yeah, even as an opponent, when I come back this stadium, it feels special, and I know how much the fans push the team and change the feeling in the game. So I'm very looking for the game for today. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Taki Minamino with Neil, and lest we forget, he was a league title winner here under Klopp in 2020, yeah?
Yeah, and he kind of came, because we won the title, he came halfway through, didn't we, then we won the title. People look at him really affectionately, and he's part of that. And listen, he scored some important goals, didn't he? He came on, scored some big goals in some big games.
He was the Carabao Cup king, weren't he? Every round he scored.
That's right,
Yep.
yeah. I'm trying to think which was it, the FA Cup or the Carabao?
Sure,
the Carabao
Cup,
yeah.
wasn't it?
I think it
But,
was.
yeah, he was a big part of that. Under Jürgen, fans took to him, become a bit of a cult player, didn't he? Great for the Asian market as well. We have to touch on that.
Well, sure.
You know, that's a big thing in modern day football now, isn't he? He opened doors up, markets up commercially as well. You know, so he played as part of this football club, and he's there's a lot of affection for him.
Well, definitely, and obviously for injury reasons, neither he nor Endo could play at the World Cup in the summer. I think both would have been an integral part of the Japan squad. So I'd imagine they've had a catch-up backstage here somewhere.
Yeah, of course, and you know, for Liverpool, I have to touch on it. He worked his absolute socks off.
Yes.
You know, he ran forward, he pressed forward, he could finish from left foot, right foot headers. He was a natural goal scorer. Anywhere around the box, you knew that there was going to be half a chance, and he was a big, crucial team player. And probably that's a big word to say, like a team player. He knew that, you know, he might not have started every single week, but when he came on, he'd change the game, make an impact, and he'd done really well for the club, and he deserves, you know, the applause and the credit that he gets.
Well, and that brings us round again, doesn't it, to that topic about the importance of a squad, an opportunity under a new coach, under a new setup, to see pathways in different competitions. Liverpool, as you said, are going to play a lot of football across the domestic and international competitions.
You've got to build your squad a different mentality, players with different mentalities. I mean, there's got to be players that accept that. Then, like Minamino, he knew he wasn't going to play week in, week out. Endo is another player. Don't know whether it's that Asian culture, but they're there when they needed to be. They'll come on, they'll play their part, they'll give 100%. And that's what being a part of a squad is all about. Yeah. It's not knocking on the manager's door every 5 minutes when you don't play. You know, you've got to accept sometimes it's about minutes, it's about numbers, Jay's right, It's a numbers game now. You know, and it's what suits you, and if it doesn't work, then you move on, or it is, you stay. But the squad's made up of lots of different facets. It's not all about world-class players, and I want, 11 men that are going to play every week. You know, it's going to be a big season, challenging in lots of different competitions. Again, it's a World Cup year. Yep. When I talk about a World Cup year, it means you've got to manage your players that have played at a World Cup. Yep. You can't let them play every single game. It just doesn't work. They're going to have to come out the team at some point and be rested. So your squad then becomes vitally important.
So the likes of Endo being fit again, great to see him back on the pitch here and available. That makes a difference.
Yeah, 100% it does, because he sums up what a team player is again. You know, he's done unbelievable things. He's played at right back, centre back, midfield. You know, he's put his body on the line for this football club. But he's a manager's dream. You know, if you had someone like him in your squad, you're thinking, wow, what a person he'll be. But again, he understands that this is Liverpool Football Club. You know, everyone's not going to be able to play every single minute, just like Jason said. And when he's always going to be ready whenever he's called upon. And he'll give 110%. And that's, for me, what the manager will have to obviously learn, coming from Bournemouth into Liverpool, is that, you know, we'll be fighting on all fronts. He'll have to have a bigger squad, more players are going to have to rotate. The people are going to play 1 week, maybe rest the midweek, play the next. So it's going to be it's going to be a change for him. But one that he's going to have to adapt with, and that's where, again, you know, hopefully a few young lads might be able to stick around, you know, understand and be around the squad, and hopefully get a little bit more minutes.
Yeah, he also looks like a manager, again, we're only going on Bournemouth, that he asks a lot physically of you when you're on the pitch, and then give me the hour, empty the tank, I'll change him.
Again, like Jürgen, you know, that was Jürgen, was give me everything you got. You know, if you look at Jürgen's history and the way he won titles, whether it was in Germany or here, you know, they would go from the minute get-go, and then they would hang on at the end of the season, albeit top, and they'd just get over the line. That's what he did, you know, and he won titles like that. It's a very demanding style of play. You know, you get to a point with your players where they just can't give it anymore. We've seen it with likes of Lallana, Millie, Henderson. Unfortunately, maybe held on to him a little bit too long. Maybe that was down to loyalty, whatever. But in the end, you've got to accept, listen, I've got more than enough out of this player. I've got to go again, and he builds again, didn't he, Jurgen? You know, Guardiola did it a little bit as well. But it's demanding to play for Iraola. It is very, very demanding. So the squad needs bolstering, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of that chat that the boys have just had could apply to Liverpool's left-back Kostas Tsimikas, who starts today, but of course has been on loan at Roma this last season, now back at Anfield, available, starting. Here he is pre-match today with Neil.
Matt, thanks very much. I'm delighted to say I'm joined in the tunnel here by Kostas Tsimikas. Kostas, thanks very much for joining us ahead of the game. How excited are you to be back here in front of the Anfield fans?
I'm very excited, to be honest. Couldn't wait to be back. Finally this time came, and I think I feel ready to take it in the way I left it. When I left it, we were like Premier League winners. I think I work hard to be in the top level, so yeah, I'm really glad to be back.
And how's it been for you under the new boss, understanding what he wants from you?
Yeah, for sure. He tried to make as simple as possible. He tried to explain. I think everybody knows what we have to do, and we train really hard day in, day out. And I think we are much closer in the way he wants us to play. So yeah, for me also it's something new, like everybody. But I think everybody's in the good level.
We're right in the thick of pre-season. The season's not too far away. How are you feeling?
To be honest, I'm buzzing right now. I wanted to play for the club since long time. I think this time came, as I say I say before. I'm really happy to be here. I can't wait this season to start.
Brilliant. Thanks very much. Good luck to you. I know you're starting today. Back to you, Matt.
The Greek scouser, Kostas Tsimikas, who probably didn't play as much as he wanted at Roma last year. He joined that club on loan before Gasperini was appointed as coach, and you know how that goes, fellas. But you want competition for places, and he's a slightly different type of left-back to Kerkez, and that can be a good thing.
Yeah, really good lad around the dressing room as well. Fell down the pecking order last season because Kerkez come in. I think slot, obviously, Andy Robertson was still around, wasn't he? Needed him for that leadership in the dressing room. How that worked out, I'm not too sure, but obviously Tsimikas wanted to play, needed to play, and went out on loan, didn't quite work out, but he finds himself back here now with Andy Robertson gone. You know, he's going to push Kerkez, he's going to get minutes. He's going to get minutes on the pitch. Yeah. So he needs to be mentally right for it. He needs to know that he's here for as long as the manager wants him. And again, it's a new manager. Listen, the new manager might see different things in him. You know, when he might turn around and go, I like him and I need him to stay. He does exactly what I need him to do. So it's down to him, and we'll have to see what we get.
That's it. I imagine for Milos Kerkez seeing Andoni Iraola walk through the door. Hey, good news. I used to play for you.
Yeah,
that always helps.
In the summer, he'd probably leap for joy and start to at a decent party to celebrate as well. But no, I agree with what Jason's saying. You know, for all of the players, it's a brand new clean slate. You know, whatever happened last year, whatever happened the year before, whether you were in, whether you were out. This season now, coming into pre-season, when he first day back, it's a clean slate. You know, you've got everything to prove, everything to gain, and it's entirely up to you how you want to impress the manager and try and get minutes. So it's all down to these players to showcase what they're about. Can they help the team? Obviously, Robertson leaving does obviously leave space for him to maybe be the number two, number one, whatever. Let's see what the manager decides. But, you know, a huge opportunity for him to, like, change the ideas and change the way of play where he wants to be.
I'm sure we'll get some minutes from Victor Munoz, the new signing, on one wing or the other today. Exciting young signing, 22, 23, did a really good job. Spanish.
Really trendy to be Spanish at the minute. They seem to be winning everything, don't they? Whether it's the Champions League,
He's got the big medal.
The Europa League, the Conference League, the Premier League, and the World Cup.
Not bad.
It's not bad. It's not. Now we found ourselves with a Spanish manager who's buying Spanish players. So there's something in that. Yeah, he didn't get a lot of minutes, but very quick, very, very quick. And again, he plays in an area of the pitch where he can make it his own if he wants to. You know, he's versatile as well. He can play left, he can play right. He's dynamic. I think last season, one criticism of the manager was we didn't get enough excitement, maybe. He will bring that. He's got to find his feet. It's a big step up from coming from where he's come from to then enter the Premier League. It's demanding. It's week in, week out. But also there's a lot of scrutiny on you as well. You've got to handle that, whether it's from social media, whether it's from the fans, whatever it may be. When you play for Liverpool, the spotlight's on you. It's like no other football club in the world.
I mean, he's been at big clubs. He was at Real Madrid before his spell at Osasuna, and it was successful last year. He was kind of like the main guy. in a smallish club. So that's a change for him as a young guy, isn't it? To
100% it is. You know,
around.
he's going to have to come in and he's going to have to prove that he's worth his money. Because, you know, Liverpool, like Jason said, this is a big club. You're scrutinised more than ever. You know, you're expected to play well straight away. You know, you don't get much time to bed in. Liverpool, you know, you got to come here, you got to hit the ground running. You got to get these fans off their seats because that's what they're expecting from him. In that final third, you have to get the fans to buy into you. Not just the players, but the fans as well, and that's where you can win these over. But he's exciting. He looked, you know, the little glimpses that we see.
Yeah.
You know, he scored quite a lot of goals in training, half-a-yard finish. So yeah, if he can get people off their seats and excite them, they'll be on his side.
Dribbles completed on that screen, Jason, 75. Only Vinicius and Lamine Yamal completed more dribbles than him last season.
There's no doubt about it, and quick. I think he recorded the quickest time, sprint time in Spain last season. So, you know, he's got a lot of attributes that are going to get bums off seats. You know, he's got a, you know, he's not, we spoke about numbers, haven't we, through this conversation. His numbers stack up there, don't they? But it's one thing having numbers that stack up, and it's another thing running out for Liverpool in a red shirt with a demanding crowd. The only thing I would say about this crowd is I think expectations will be slightly lowered from last season, having not won the title, having limped over the line. Listen, they'll be looking at you going, right, there's improvement to be made, and this is a forgiving crowd. You know, they're not going to be like, we should be winning the title, we should be winning the champ, we should do the quadruple. They're not like that. You know, they will be given, the younger players and the new players will be given time to bed in this season.
Yeah. And however many wingers they end up with, he does like to swap them over, doesn't he? During games, even to ask different questions. That will be a new thing for them all.
It's another question that we've had to explain to our young players. Like a lot of young players, like you said before, a lot of lefties like to be on the right, a lot of righties like to be on the left. Where now this manager's really, really open to having righties on the right and lefties on the left. So, you know, they can't have their preference anymore. It becomes a, listen, if you're going to play there, you play there, you play there. If that makes you get in the team, you have to do what the manager wants, and that's the way that it's going to be. And Rio has done that. Kieran Morrison's done that.
Yeah.
And we know, I'm sure that we'll see maybe Cody and Kumas today at some point doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah. And for a player like Rio and Gamoa, that's opportunity knocks. I mean, if you can play in two places, that's better than one, isn't it?
Well, of course.
Selectable, isn't it?
I think as well, I think this manager, listen, from where he's come from, Bournemouth, we've seen how he enhances players, how he makes them better. Semenyo probably is the biggest one, isn't it? Perfect example. You know, for a younger player like Ngamoa and Munoz, and you know, that's a dream. You know, the manager, he wants to invest in them younger players. He wants to make them better. You know, they need to look at him and think, listen, he knows how to better players. So, you know, and he's got a lot of experience around him as well. But also, he will shift players about. So, you're not just limited to that left-hand side. Sometimes we looked at Ngamoa and thought it's just him and Gakpo on that left-hand side. But now he can play on the right. And plus Salah's gone. That's a massive, huge gap. That's a huge gap on the pitch.
Yeah. New goalkeeping coach as well, in Alejandro Rosalen, I think, who's another Spaniard who comes in. Don't know if Alisson at his tender age in his 30s still needs to impress anybody, but it's another relationship, isn't it? It's another way of working for him and Mamadashvili.
Yeah. And then obviously from seeing only a little bit glimpses of him, he's very intense. So, you know, Ali going from one to the other again, learning new ways of defending his goal, with obviously Colin as well, and with Darby Davis and Georgie. There'll be a new relationship to build. You know, what does he like? What does he want to do day to day? What's Ali's routine, or what's it been over the last couple of years? You know, they've got to build that all over again. So not just in the outfield, it's more in the goalie department as well, like you say.
Yeah, I mean, they are all a bit strange, aren't they?
Yeah, I didn't want to say that too early.
Mate, you don't want to be stuck in a lift with a goalkeeper. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. I mean, I think presumably with a goalkeeper as experienced as Alisson, it's a two-way street. The coach coming in will say, well, how do you like
That's
to work?
What I mean, yeah. So they kind of balance off each other. You know, what do you like to do on a -2 or -1? What's your routine to get you ready for a game? But I like to do this. How can we find like a bit of a middle ground? So there'll be them conversations right from the get-go to find out what's best for all.
Yeah, because I mean he's looking after himself. It's fair to say, Alisson, isn't he? I think he finds parts of the game.
Twilight, I think, is the word we're looking for. Twilight.
The age is going.
Yeah, I mean, it comes to us all, doesn't it?
Does.
Time waits for no one, but you do have to manage yourself. We've both been, I mean, Jay's still managing himself now. He's still playing. That's how well he's managing himself.
I don't know, you want to see me at 9 o'clock at night when I can't move, but I'm all right.
I'm out of breath going up the stairs, I am. Flipping it.
Yeah.
You do have to manage yourself. You know, it's different for goalkeepers because it's not as demanding. They're not doing as much running, are they? But they are still up and down and catching and exploding. You know, it's just about managing your body. And, you know, again, you've just mentioned it there. It's another relationship he's going to have to forge. So let's hope it's a good one.
Well, I'd like to think the muscles get a bit softer and more pliable when there's 50, 60,000 in screaming your name. We are almost out of time here, pitchside. Don't forget, you can watch all remaining pre-season games on LFC TV, and All Red video. That is online via the app or connected TV. And of course, if you sign up for All Red right now, you'll get a free 2-week trial, which would get you today's game and both matches against Como next weekend. As you can see, head to video.liverpoolfc.com